American Jazz History Museum, and we're standing in front of Charlie Parker's actual Grafton saxophone right here. The instrument sold several years ago at auction for about $130,000, I believe. Here it is in the case. It's in gorgeous condition. We brought the Grafton that we just restored down here to the museum, and Mark's going to be showing it to Dennis Winslett, who happens to be the director of jazz studies. There he is here at the museum, and he's going to be playing on this instrument. So we're going to cut out and show you some of that. Thanks.
Not want to speak.
That's right.
So you want to know about this horn?
Yeah. Just give us a little rundown on kind of the history. How did the museum come to acquire Parker's horn? I mean, everybody kind of knows about the auction that was held, but
yeah. Well, the thing about this concert that's unique that people don't talk about is that Charlie Parker was notorious for showing up without a horn. So this particular engagement, as folklore has it, he shows up without a horn, and Bud Powell and Max Roach and Dizzy are looking for a horn for Charlie Parker to play. The Grafton was initially invented by an Italian-born, I think he was Hungarian,
right.
Hector Samaragu.
right, living in London.
Yeah, lived in London, and that's where he actually, Grafton Street was where he lived. Now it's coming back to me. Anyway, this Hungarian instrument maker had the brainstorm that he could come up with a less expensive instrument that he could produce cheaper, but he didn't realize all of the logistical issues dealing with plastic, and that's why they ended up making it out of acrylic plastic, because it was cheap and it was relatively easy to work with, but it wasn't actually a good material, because as repairmen found out, unlike the conventional saxophone, you couldn't bend the keys, and that's why it never really took off. But the Grafton company, I think, started producing them in 1950, and was sold to another company and produced them a little bit longer than that. But it never really caught on because of the mechanism, because of the ability to get them repaired. But Charlie Parker gets this horn, and very unconventional horn for the time, but Charlie Parker comes out and just obliterates the horn, plays this incredible concert. Now, Charlie Parker was under contract with King from the Cleveland, the King Instrument Company, and he endorsed the King Super 20s. And it was actually Charlie Parker's King Super 20 that had his name inscribed on the bell that recently sold for like $350,000, which beat out this horn as the most valuable saxophone in the world. But the thing that was special about this is that he plays on this concert, people were just in awe of Charlie Parker playing this little saxophone. But since this concert was at Massey Hall in Toronto, he could play any horn he wanted to. And so that's how he was able to play the Grafton on that particular concert. And he records this concert as Charlie Chan, which is one of his pseudonyms that he used to get out of
endorsements.
Dealing with contracts. So he records this concert under the name of Charlie Chan, and that's how he gets away with playing this Grafton and having this recording outside of his recording contract. And as you can see here, we have his original contract. It's interesting to me to see that he was paid $200 guaranteed, and 21% of the musician's share of the net profit, because everybody knows Charlie Parker is also notorious for selling his royalties to his music as well as his engagements. You give me $50 now, you can have my cut of the proceeds. I'm not sure if they have it on this gig, but I know that Charlie Parker did that off. Unfortunately, it wasn't until later that this particular record became a hit, Jazz at Massey Hall. It's a classic recording of Charlie Parker. You really don't even realize that listening to the recording that he's playing this little, kind of funky plastic horn, because you can't tell listening to it. Right. It just sounds like Charlie Parker, and he's playing these blistering lines, and it sounds great to me. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out how did he play this horn that well, because I can't even. But that's the story behind how the horn came to Charlie Parker's possession. And when he married Chan Parker, she kept this horn, and that's how it survived. She had this horn in the King Super 20, and Charlie Parker went through lots of horns, but these particular horns kept in possession. And when he passed away, Chan had them, and it was her estate that initiated auctioning this off, and later that sold the other Charlie Parker horn. But at the auction, then Mayor Cleaver was they were thinking about building this museum. They wanted an artifact to really anchor the museum around. And so they heard about the auction, and they go to Christie's, and they're bidding against a Japanese firm in Clint Eastwood for this horn. And they had no idea the bidding was going to get so high. And so it started out at about $20,000. And he was like, oh my, we're going to get in trouble for this. And it gets up to about $100,000. And they were just like, are we really going to buy this horn? And the bidding kept getting higher and higher and higher. And finally, it got up to $135,000. And Clint Eastwood dropped out and said, you got it. And he was like, I'm in trouble. When the auditors get wind of how much money we're actually going to spend to buy this horn. But that's the story of how the city ended up getting the horn, is that Cleaver just had the foresight to bring that horn back here.
Awesome. Very cool.
Thanks for visiting the BAC Horncast. Visit us on the web at horndoctor.com, HORNDR.com.